September 17th, 1941, mid-Atlantic, 400 miles southeast of Greenland. Wind lashes the black water into spiked ridges as Lieutenant Commander Harold Keene stands on the bridge of HMS Vimy. Eyes narrowed against the sting of salt, the destroyer cuts through the dark like a blade, its bow thumping against the swell, beneath the steady hum of engines. There's another sound he cannot shake, an uneasy, rhythmic pulse in the water, like something breathing beneath the waves. Keene adjusts his cap, glances at his watch, and mutters to his first officer, "Too quiet tonight. Far too quiet." Convoy HX-151 follows in rigid formation behind him. 47 merchant ships, each packed with aviation fuel, canned meat, grain, ammunition, and spare aircraft parts needed to keep Britain alive. Their wakes glow faintly in the moonlight, forming long streaks of shimmering silver. Every man aboard knows they are crossing the most dangerous hunting ground on Earth, the Mid-Atlantic Gap, the stretch where Allied air cover cannot reach, where German U-boats stalk like wolves. Below the surface, 50 meters down, Captain Lieutenant Rolf Mertens listens through his hydrophone, body tense. His submarine, U-92, drifts silently in the deep, engines off. Crew whispering, as if afraid the ocean might overhear them. Mertens raises a finger. "Ruhe," he murmurs. Silence. The hydrophone operator tilts his head, eyes widening. Multiple screws. Slow, merchant tonnage. Mertens allows himself the slightest smile. "A convoy. They don't know we're here." But tonight, U-92 is not alone. Two more boats, U-203 and U-569, move through the dark like phantoms. Admiral Karl Dönitz's Rudeltaktik, the Wolfpack tactic perfected over 2 years of brutal learning, is about to unfold with devastating precision. On the Vimy, Keene senses it before instruments confirm it. A faint blip flickers on the Type 128 Astix sonar display, weak, almost an echo. The operator leans in. "Sir, possible contact bearing 210. "Possible?" Keene snaps. "Or certain?" The young seaman swallows. "Certain, sir," moving slow, deep. A cold chill crawls up Keene's spine. He grabs the voice tube. "Action station, submarine contact. All hands, stand by." Searchlights sweep across the waves. Depth charge crews run to their stations. The convoy tightens formation. Merchant captains praying their vessels will not be the first targeted in the chaos. Down below, in U-92, Mertens hears the faint mechanical pings of British Astic glancing off his hull. He answers calmly, "Flood negative tanks. Dive deeper. Rig for silent running." The submarine glides downward, descending into ink-black pressure. Pipes creak. A wrench slips from someone's pocket and clatters across the steel floor. All eyes snap toward the sound. Mertens breathes out slowly. No more mistakes. At 2300 hours, the attack begins. U-569 breaches. Periscope. Depth first. Mertens's crew sees the white flash reflected on the control room's bulkhead as the distant submarine fires its torpedoes. 2 bright trails racing silently beneath the waves. 22 seconds later, a hollow explosion rumbles through the water. A merchant ship, a freighter named SS Herrenfield, erupts in fire. Her stern lifts violently before snapping downward, swallowing men, cargo, and steel in seconds. Keene watches the blast from the bridge, face pale. "They're inside the screen here," he whispers. "Damn it, they're already inside." He orders hard rudder and accelerates. The Vimy carving tight arcs around the panicking convoy. Flares shoot into the sky, staining the darkness blood red. The sea glows with burning fuel. Merchant ships scatter out of formation, their fear undoing the very discipline that kept them alive. Meanwhile, Mertens brings U-92 upward. "Standby tubes 1 and 2. Ready, Herr Kapitän." He raises the periscope. Through the wavering lens, he sees a perfect target. A tanker, heavy with aviation fuel. Fire from the Herrenfield's wreck reflects on its hull like molten gold. "Loss!" 2 torpedoes leave the tubes with a soft hiss. On the surface, a lookout cries, "Fish in the water!" Keene spins just in time to see the torpedo trails cutting through the phosphorescent glow, Hard to port, harder. The tanker never has a chance. The explosion is so violent, it lifts a plume of fire taller than a cathedral. Heat washes across the Vimy's bridge. Keene shields his face, teeth gritted, listening to the screams echo across the water. Below, Mertens closes the periscope. Down periscope, dive. They'll be coming for us now. Depth charge projectors launch patterns of explosives. Each detonation slams the submarine like a hammer. Light bulbs shatter. The steel hull groans. Still, Mertens remains calm. They don't know our exact position. Hold steady. For the next hour, the Atlantic becomes a battlefield of sound. Detonation, echo, rumble, groan, and slowly, too slowly, the Allies realize the truth. This was not a lone submarine. This was a pack, a coordinated, silent infiltration that had waited in the dark for hours, maybe days. And tonight, it has shattered the convoy's defences. September 17th, 1941, 23:58 hours, mid-Atlantic, south of Greenland. The sea is a furnace of burning fuel and broken steel. Smoke coils into the night sky, blotting out the moon. Men cling to debris, their shouts rising above the roar of flames. The destroyer HMS Vimy charges through the chaos, engines straining, her hull vibrating from the last near-miss depth charge. Lieutenant Commander Keene grips the bridge railing so tightly his knuckles turn white. "Report!" he barks over the wind. "2 ships confirmed sunk, sir." The signals officer answers, voice shaking. "Possibly more damaged. Multiple torpedo trails sighted across the convoy's centre column." Keene's jaw clenches. "Multiple?" The officer nods stiffly. "At least 3 separate vectors." That is the moment Keene realises the truth. They aren't fighting a submarine. They're fighting a coordinated strike, a pack. Below the waves, U-92 settles at 90 metres. The hum of the electric motors is faint, cautious. Captain Lieutenant Mertens watches a bead of water fall from a weld seam above him. Condensation from pressure change. He wipes it away with his thumb. His hydrophone operator leans close. "Herr Kapitän, more explosions to port, not ours." Mertens allows himself a quiet breath of satisfaction. U-203 has joined. Another explosion rolls through the water, and U-569 completes the triangle. He can picture the formation in his mind. 3 U-boats in a loose arc beneath a convoy, herding it, pressing it, forcing captains to turn directly into kill zones. Dönitz would be proud. On the surface, the Vimy's ASTIC operator fights with the controls, sweat dripping onto the dials. "Sir, I'm trying to distinguish contacts, but there are too many echoes. I think," he hesitates. Keene steps forward. "Spit it out, lad. I think we have 3, maybe 4 separate subs moving at different depths." A murmur spreads across the bridge. Even seasoned sailors flinch. 4 submarines, inside the screen. At night, it is every escort commander's nightmare. Keene straightens, voice hard. "Signal the convoy. They are to tighten formation. No independent manoeuvring. Anyone breaks line again, they'll be picked off." The signalman nods, hands trembling as he taps out the Morse orders. But deep below, Mertens already knows the convoy will not obey perfectly. Convoys never do under fear. He gives his next command. Quiet, controlled. Prepare for repositioning. Starboard turn. New depth, 70 metres. As U-92 angles upward, the hull moans under stress. The crew holds their breath as pressure shifts. Mertens studies the chart table by dim red light. The convoy's evasive turn will herd them toward U-203's approach path, a perfect kill box. On the surface, panic spreads through the merchant crews. Some captains throttle up, terrified of slowing down. Others zigzag wildly, breaking the protective screen the destroyers are desperate to maintain. The once disciplined columns of HX-151 fracture into desperate streaks of white wake. Keene watches it unravel and pounds his fist on the railing. "God damn it, they're scattering. That's exactly what the Germans want." A lookout suddenly shouts, "Periscope, starboard beam!" Searchlights whip across the water. For a split second, a slender metal silhouette glints in the waves, then slips beneath them. Bearing tight, depth charges, pattern 5. The Vimy lunges into a turn, stern rolling dangerously close to the waterline as depth charge launchers thump in rapid succession. Cylinders arc into the sea and disappear. Seconds later, whomp, 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 a chain of underwater detonations ripples through the ocean. Keene leans forward, eyes locked on the churning froth. But below the surface, Mertens has already executed the maneuver he learned in training. The knife blade dive, a steep silent plunge at full electric throttle that slices beneath the spread of charges. The explosions boom overhead, rattling the hull but never catching the sub. He murmurs calmly, "Hold course, reduce speed." The men obey, though several wipe sweat from their brows. Meanwhile, 2 miles away, U-203 breaches to periscope depth. Captain Lieutenant Heinrich Kruger raises his scope and spots a lone straggler on the convoy's eastern edge, a freighter struggling to keep pace. "Ziel erfasst," he whispers. "Target acquired. Tubes 1 and 2, fertig, ready." The torpedoes leave with a whisper. The freighter's end is swift, a burst of flame, a rolling fireball, and a hollow metallic shriek swallowed by the night. Back on the Vimy, Keene watches the distant blast. "Another one gone," he mutters. His voice is strained, thinner than before. "How many are we up against?" At that very moment, a chilling message crackles over the wireless. "Mayday, Mayday. This is SS Grantwell. Torpedoed, sinking, fast, position, static." Keene looks at his first officer. "That's 3 sunk in under an hour." The first officer nods grimly. "Sir, we're losing control of the line." Keene stares ahead into the burning sea, jaw tight. "Then we take it back." He grabs the voice tube. "Prepare for aggressive sweeping runs. Bring us between the center column and the outer stragglers. Full speed ahead." The Vimy surges into the flames, cutting through wreckage and oil. The smell of burning diesel burns the men's throats. Somewhere in the dark, sailors scream for help, but the destroyer cannot stop, not now. Underneath the chaos, the Wolfpack moves with chilling coordination. 3 U-boats, 3 attack angles, a silent, deliberate strategy designed to overwhelm escorts, break convoy discipline, and turn the Atlantic night into a graveyard of twisted steel. And tonight, it is working. Keene doesn't know it yet, but this attack will become a defining chapter in the Battle of the Atlantic, a night where Allied confidence faltered and German infiltration proved terrifyingly effective. As the Vimy barrels forward, her bow slicing through burning debris, Keene whispers under his breath, "I won't let them tear us apart, not tonight." But the Wolfpack is not finished, not even close. September 18th, 1941. 18 hours. Mid-Atlantic gap. The night has turned into a battlefield of flame and shadow. The convoy stretched thin across miles of dark water. HMS Vimy charges ahead, its searchlights cutting white spears through drifting smoke. Lieutenant Commander Harold Keene wipes soot from his face, scanning the chaos for any sign of order. His throat is raw from shouting, his eyes stinging from the fuel burning on the surface. Behind him, the horizon flickers with orange bursts, ships dying one by one. "Sir," the Aztec operator calls out, leaning over his set. "New contact, close range, bearing 185, deep, moving slow." Keene snaps back. "One of the same pack?" The operator hesitates. "No, sir. I think this one's new. A 4th U-boat." Keene feels cold settle in his chest. 4 submarines, maybe more. Dönitz hasn't sent a hunting team. He's sent an ambush. Below the surface, U-92 completes its reposition. Captain Lieutenant Mertens holds steady at 70 meters, waiting for the next opportunity. Through the hydrophone, distant detonations thud like giants, walking along the seabed. His operator raises a hand. "Herr Kapitän, I hear engines, fast, destroyer-class screws." Mertens nods. "Vimy, she is bold tonight." A faint smile touches his lips. "Dangerous captains are predictable captains." He orders a slight course correction, keeping the sub just outside the destroyer's sonar cone. Above, Vimy races toward the center of the convoy. The burning tanker has drifted fully ablaze, its silhouette a crumpled inferno. Men in the water scream for help, but Keene forces himself to stay focused. Stopping for survivors would mean losing the convoy entirely. Signal to the escorts, maintain a defensive ring, no chasing shadows. The signals officer taps out the Morse message. Suddenly, a violent explosion erupts on the convoy's western flank. A cargo ship struck dead center. Another blast follows moments later. Torpedoes from yet another direction. Keene slams his fist on the chart table. They're attacking from all quadrants. They're forcing gaps in the screen. His first officer swallows hard. They're herding us like cattle, sir. Meanwhile, U-203 prowls just beneath periscope depth. Capitan Lieutenant Kruger raises his scope slowly. Water sliding off the lens. In it he sees exactly what he hoped for. A gap in the convoy's starboard column. A freighter, laden low, heavy with supplies, struggles to turn back into formation. A perfect target, Kruger whispers. Tubes 3 and 4, the torpedoes leave with a hiss. 34 seconds later, the ocean erupts. The freighter breaks apart violently, bow rising out of the water before folding backward in a roar of twisting steel. On the Vimy, Keene watches the explosion bloom like a fireflower. That's 4 confirmed, he mutters. His voice is hoarse but not defeated. They're punching holes faster than we can plug them. Then, unexpectedly, a new voice bursts from the wireless room. Sir, message from Shore Command. Keene turns sharply. Read it! The operator gulps. Long-range patrols from Iceland have been notified. Air cover will launch at dawn. Dawn. Keene looks at the sky, still pitch black. Stars dim behind drifting smoke. Dawn is hours away. The U-boats know it. Tonight is their window. Down below. Mertens checks his watch. He can feel the rhythm of the battle now. The timing of the escorts. The panicked movements of merchant ships. Prepare for surface maneuver, he says. His second officer's eyes widen. Surface in the middle of the convoy? Mertens nods. The best way to hide is where no one expects us. At 01:55 hours. U-92 rises silently, water peeling off her hull. The sub breaches in the dark space between 2 merchant ships, just far enough to remain a ghost. A lookout on a nearby vessel shouts, "Submarine starboard side!" Machine guns open fire instantly, tracers stitching the night. Mertens orders a crash dive. The crew works with terrifying speed, slamming hatches and flooding ballast tanks. Bullets spark off the bridge tower as the ocean swallows the U-boat again. On the Vimy, the lookout screams. Submerged, bearing 190. Keene spins the wheel. Depth charge pattern, maximum spread, now. Explosions detonate in rapid succession. The ocean heaves. Smoke pours from the Vimy's stern guns. For a moment, Keene thinks they may have scored a hit, but then, quiet, the worst sound of all. Sir, the Aztec operator says weakly. Contact lost. The Wolfpack vanishes again. Below, Mertens wipes blood from his forehead, where he struck a valve during the crash dive. He steadies himself on a handrail. They are getting desperate, he murmurs. His second officer nods, panting. We wounded them. No, Mertens replies. We frightened them. Fear is more useful. The ocean grows strangely calm. For a moment, even the explosions fade. Then, across the convoy, a haunting flare arcs into the sky. Green, casting an eerie glow across the smoke. A signal flare from a submarine. A taunt. Keene watches it drift down, jaw clenched. They're toying with us now. The Battle of the Atlantic has seen countless nights like this, but few as psychologically devastating. Tonight isn't just about tonnage sunk. It's about breaking the will of every man trying to steer his ship through the dark. Keene grips the railing and whispers, Hold on, lads. Dawn is coming. Just hold on. But the Wolfpack still has one more coordinated strike to deliver. One designed to cripple the convoy beyond repair before the first Allied aircraft arrives. And somewhere in the Black Water, U-92, U-203, and U-569 prepare to make their final move. September 18th, 1941, 03:26 hours, mid-Atlantic gap, the Wolfpack prepares its final strike as the convoy limps forward, broken, scattered, and bleeding oil into the sea. The moon hides behind heavy cloud, leaving only the red glow of burning wrecks to illuminate the water. Lieutenant Commander Harold Keene stands on the bridge of HMS Vimy, coat soaked, eyes hollow from exhaustion. He has not left his post in hours. His men work with mechanical efficiency now, too tired to fear, too determined to stop. Sir, the Aztec operator whispers, I think they're regrouping. I'm hearing coordinated movement. 3 contacts. Closing. Keene stares ahead. This is the last push before daylight. His first officer nods. They want to finish us before the aircraft arrive. Thunder rolls across the waves, not from the sky but from an explosion far ahead. A deep orange burst that silhouettes the broken shape of a freighter rolling onto her side. Another merchant ship lost. Keene slams the voice tube down. "Bring us ahead, flank. We cut right into them, or we lose everything." The destroyer shudders as her engines scream, bow smashing through debris. Men on deck cling to the rails as Vimy forces her way toward the heart of the convoy. Below them, U-92 glides through the dark, like a predator, readying its final lunge. Capitan Lieutenant Mertens studies the convoy's pattern carefully. Chaotic, fractured, wide open. "They've lost their discipline," he murmurs. "We strike now," he signals the crew. "Prepare tubes 1 through 4, double spread." The men move quickly, silently, aware this could be the decisive blow. On U-203, Capitan Lieutenant Kruger listens through the hydrophone. He can hear the escort ships converging, their screws thrashing the water. "They're afraid," he says calmly. Fear makes them predictable. He orders his sub into position on the convoy's western side. On U-569, the young commander, Capitan Lieutenant Walter Brecht, steadies his nerves. This is his first major Wolfpack engagement, and the results have been beyond expectation. He raises the periscope just enough to see the carnage, burning ships reflecting orange fire across the waves. "Tubes ready?" he asks. "Ready," his weapons officer replies. Brecht inhales once. "Then let's end this night. 3 submarines, 3 angles, 3 coordinated ambushes converging on a convoy with shattered defences. On the surface, Keene's instincts scream a warning. Something in the water feels off. Too quiet, too smooth. The kind of silence that wraps around a man before something terrible happens. Then he sees it, faint trails, thin white lines beneath the moonlight, gliding toward the convoy like ghostly serpents. "Torpedoes," he roars. "Multiple incoming, all ships, evasive maneuvers." The Vimy swerves violently, her hull tipping as the crew clings to anything bolted down. One torpedo passes so close, the men hear its mechanical whine through the steel. Farther back, a cargo ship tries desperately to turn, but the torpedo hits its bow with a monstrous crack, fire ripping through its superstructure. The blast lights the entire sea for a moment, revealing shapes in the water. Survivors clinging to rafts, debris floating like grave markers. Another torpedo slams into a tanker on the convoy's starboard edge, igniting a towering inferno that reflects off the stormy sky within minutes. 2 more merchant vessels list heavily, their crews scrambling to abandon ship. Keene watches the destruction, horror twisting inside him. "They're cutting us down," his first officer says, voice shaking. "We can't stop them." Keene grabs his shoulder. "We can't stop all of them, but we can stop one." He spins toward the helm. "Find the nearest contact. We ram if we have to." The helmsman hesitates but obeys. Vimy charges into the dark at full speed. Deep below, Mertens hears the destroyer closing fast. "They're coming straight for us," his navigator warns. "Let them, sir," Mertens replies. "Too late for them to catch us now." He orders a dive to 90 meters, engines cutting to silent mode. The destroyer's depth charges explode behind U-92, but the submarine is already slipping away. On U-203, Kruger unleashes his final torpedo, then dives deep to evade the Vimy's attack run. On U-569, Brecht fires one last spread before ordering full silent running. The Wolfpack vanishes into the black, like spirits returning to the abyss, slowly, painfully. The explosions cease, the burning ships continue to glow, but the sea grows quiet, ominously still, like a battlefield after the last gunshot. Keene stands on the bridge, smoke drifting past him. He looks at the horizon. The first faint band of silver appears. Dawn, as the sun rises. The full scope of the devastation becomes clear. Lifeboats scatter across miles. Black columns of smoke rise from the water, where 47 merchant ships once sailed. Fewer than 30 remain afloat. But as the morning light strengthens, a distant hum reaches the convoy. Aircraft. British patrol bombers emerging from the eastern sky. The Wolfpack has already slipped away. But daylight belongs to the Allies now. Keene lowers his binoculars, exhaustion pulling at his shoulders. "Signal to all ships," he murmurs. "Reform, take on survivors. We keep moving." His first officer hesitates. "Sir, how do we report this?" Keene watches the rising sun turn the smoke gold. "We tell them the truth," he says quietly. "We were infiltrated by a Wolfpack that moved like ghosts, and we held the line long enough for dawn to reach us. The Battle of the Atlantic will rage for years more, but nights like this, nights where U-boats shattered convoy routes and left steel graveyards drifting in the swell, will haunt every man who survived them." As HMS Vimy begins recovering the first survivors, Keene whispers to himself, "Never again, not like this." But deep below the waves, far beyond the reach of daylight, the Wolfpack regroups, already planning its next hunt.